Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from podweather.com and IPR365.com with a brief video update on Hurricane Ike. Brief for the fact that even though we have a potent hurricane over land that's a threat, there's only the basics to cover with it as of right now. There's Hurricane Ike sitting just south of the Cuban coast in the Caribbean Sea. The chances that a hurricane from Africa make it all the way across to land, let alone the Caribbean Sea, it happens, but it is rare. You can see it's still got a good outflow pattern there, very favorable, and does have a strong circulation center with it, and as long as it's over water, it will be able to intensify. Here's the latest as of 8 p.m. It was at 21.7 north, 80.2 west. Winds were 80 miles per hour, gusting to 95, so it's a Category 1 hurricane. Far cry from the 145 it was a few days ago over water, but it made landfall as a Category 3. We can do a 2, and now it's a 1 over water. It's moving west-northwest at 11-12 miles per hour, and that's important because it still has a northwesterly component, 966 millibars, and that pressure is still very low for a Category 1 hurricane. 80 miles per hour, typically you have about 987 millibars. It's 966, which means that all it would take would be some time to reorganize over water, and the winds would quickly catch up. And for 966, typically you see winds at least 100 to 120 miles per hour. Now, the track as of 5 p.m., you can see it had it moving over western Cuba like this and then bending back west, making landfall as a Category 3 in Texas sometime Friday, Saturday. But with the current location still here, we may see it kind of extended a bit north in the short term, but still, if it's right here and it's extended north in the short term, it may still be at that, if not even further south in the long term. So if you're in Texas, northern Mexico, and western Louisiana, you look like the area that will be impacted. But again, it could be as far north as really the Mississippi Delta region, or as far south as northern Mexico. It's kind of a very broad path on where this system may go. You can see the wind field here. Tropical storm force winds extend over a good portion of Cuba, and hurricane force winds right there approaching the hurricane force along the Cuban coastline. And we do have, of course, hurricane watches and warnings out for western Cuba, including the Isle of Youth. Tropical storm watches and warnings still for the Florida Keys, with the potential that some of these tropical storm force winds will reach that area. There's the visible satellite loop as the sun goes down, and right at the end there, note the cloud top as the sun hits it. Very beautiful there, looking as the cloud overshoots. And there's the eye, and you could clearly see the eye is moving just along the south coast, not yet making a landfall, but it came in and it moved out, and it's been able to move up along the coast, right up the spine of Cuba. Thankfully, it's only a Category 1. 3 years ago, Hurricane Dennis did the same thing, but it did it as a Category 4 hurricane. Of course, Hurricane Gustav made landfall just a few days ago on the Isle of Youth, and the Isle of Youth had an unofficial wind of 212 miles per hour. That was a gust. Now, you could have winds that high if you have a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, certainly in gusts, and they had sustained winds 140 miles per hour in areas of the Isle of Youth, and you could get gusts 180, 190, 200, most certainly with that hurricane. You can see the eye wall right there of Hurricane Ike as it moves along the south central coast, moving straight along there. Look at that tiny little eye, very small area of impact with hurricane force winds. And as long as it stays over water, there is some potential it could get a bit better organized before it makes landfall again. Now here's the model guidance, and pretty good agreement in the short term that Ike will continue to move just in or along the western coast of Cuba and then come out, and then the models start to diverge. You have the no gaps in here, which takes Ike a little bit towards, say, the northern upper Texas coast, and then you have the UK Met down here, which has it moving straight west quickly and takes it more towards, say, Corpus Christi. Either way, the models tend to agree that even though the system's going to be bending a bit north, we're going to have high pressure continue to build in, and that's going to jaunt it back towards the west. The whole key is, does it bend north again, more towards, say, Houston, Galveston, or does it bend a little bit more west-northwest like the BAMs and the GFS show and come in towards Corpus Christi, Port Aransas? That's going to be key as to where landfall occurs, of course. You can see the GFDL model in 114 hours takes it in near Galveston as Category 3-4. H-Wharf model, Category 4 hurricane, near Galveston, same time frame, 114 hours. The no gaps, as mentioned, takes it right in that same area in about 132, a bit slower, and does show a little bubble here in the Bahamas. This could be another system, also a little bubble here as well, showing up on the no gaps. Now, upper level winds again are going to be very favorable for development, and waters are not a problem. The Western Gulf is extremely hot, and we haven't had any systems since Dolly in July, so Gustav won't have any problems for strengthening. In the final analysis, if you live in the Florida Keys, get ready for some blustery weather. Cuba and the Caymans continue to get some blustery weather, hurricane force for Cuba, and then of course we will see Hurricane Ike take that track back out over the Gulf and then maybe bend north and then bend back west. From there is going to be the big question: does it turn more north towards Houston, Galveston, or just continue to plow straight in to the mid-Texas coastline? And that will all be very critical for residents along the Texas, northern Mexico, western Louisiana coastlines. You got to begin to overlook your hurricane plans now, because Hurricane Ike is certainly a historic, long-tracked, major Cape Verde hurricane. That'll do it for Hurricane Ike. I'll see you next time.